Have you ever thought about the real reason we're here on Earth, besides the obvious ones like learning and growing? What if I told you that our real mission is much deeper and has to do with the whole universe and the rules that govern our souls? This journey isn't just about learning. It's also about unlearning and relearning the deepest truths that lie within us. Dolores Cannon spent her whole life finding these truths through her groundbreaking work in regression therapy. Her deep studies and many regression sessions led her to a fascinating conclusion. Our lives are carefully planned so that we can clear up our karma. We are stuck on Earth because of this karmic debt, which controls the frequency at which we vibrate. Like the amazing facts Cannon carefully wrote down, my search for spiritual clarity began with a need for answers that traditional religious doctrines couldn't provide. Cannon opens up a way to understand the deep lessons and chances for growth that our souls experience through many lifetimes through her books, especially those that are about reincarnation and past lives. Because I was so interested, I looked into a variety of spiritual practices, including the profound teachings of Edgar Cayce and the tranquil techniques of transcendental meditation, which drew inspiration from popular culture like the Beatles. The desire to complete the larger cosmic puzzle motivated every step of this journey, from the African plains to the American landscape. And now, I'm going to share it with you. It became clear that what we think of as learning is really just a way of remembering things and finding the wisdom that has always been inside us. This realization hit me especially hard when I first heard about reincarnation. The idea that we reincarnate not as a punishment, but as a chance to make reparations for our past actions and grow spiritually, goes against the idea that we have a single, linear life. As the highest vibrational energies that bring us closer to the source, love, forgiveness, and service to others are very important. Our journey here isn't really about getting smarter in the usual sense. Instead, it's about freeing ourselves from the karmic bonds that hold us to this vibrational plane and getting ready to go back to the source. To be free, you have to forgive, feel sorry for your actions, and choose to stop having bad thoughts and actions. In line with the Beatles' timeless message, love becomes the only thing that matters in our lives. This simplicity is often written off as a cliché, but at its core, it holds deep truth. People's complicated natures often make life's simple things more difficult than they need to be. However, historical figures like Christ, Yogananda, and Buddha have taught us through simple, powerful lessons that love is the most important thing in the world. The difference between how religious texts describe the divine and how people naturally understand God as love shows how people tend to give the divine selfish traits. When we seek spiritual truth, we frequently turn away from organized religion and toward a direct, intimate relationship with God that is unrestricted by human interpretations and rituals. The idea of reincarnation, which was taken out of religious teachings hundreds of years ago, helps people understand what life is all about. We don't come into this world to achieve things on Earth. Instead, we come here to settle our karma, free ourselves from the cycle of rebirth, and return to our spiritual essence. It's a reminder that all souls are linked, and that some choose to carry the weight of karma that wasn't their fault in order to help humanity rise to the next level. As our souls go through many lives, they gather a lot of different experiences. People learn lessons from their life experiences that aren't just personal, they're also shared, adding to the fabric of our shared consciousness. Being willing to incarnate into difficult situations is a very brave thing to do. The fast population growth we're seeing now shows how many souls are eager to be a part of this time of change, to pay off old debts, and to help the collective evolution of consciousness. It's important to remember that our time on Earth is sacred, even when things go wrong. This point of view is very important, especially for people who feel weighed down by their life on Earth. We are never really alone on our quest, because we have a lot of unseen helpers with us, from guardian spirits to ascended masters. People who have had near-death experiences, NDEs, have a unique way of seeing how the spiritual world works. The Life Review, which is a common part of NDEs, shows us how our actions have affected other people. This process shows how all living things are linked and how important each choice we make is. Learning about the roles of ascended masters and how they move through the world can motivate us to make our own lives better. These beings, who are living examples of divine love, show us how to get along with the laws of the universe. At this point in time, titles and honors don't really matter on the path to spiritual mastery. People who say they are masters are met with skepticism because it suggests they don't understand what spiritual elevation is really about. People like Christ demonstrate real mastery by upholding and spreading the law of love. Still, the topic of masters on earth and their effects is not clear-cut. They come from the highest levels of absolute reality. These celestial beings come down to the spheres of spiritual purification to help souls move forward without having lived on earth themselves. The purpose of our life's challenges is an important part of our spiritual growth that we often forget about. It's not just about clearing up old problems. It also has to do with how experiences leave marks on our souls. For example, when the pain we cause someone else comes back to haunt us, it lodges deep inside us and feeds our conscience. By using this method of spiritual learning, we can ensure that our spiritual DNA, an inner voice, or a moral compass formed from past mistakes, will guide us in our future lives. Early influences like the Beatles and Maharishi's teachings led me to start meditating, which gave me a deep sense of self-confidence. At first, it wasn't about becoming spiritually enlightened. Instead, it was about controlling the chaos inside. This practice set the stage for a deeper look into my soul and the start of a conversation with God. As my path went on, I came across teachings from different spiritual traditions. These helped me understand spiritual laws better and use them in my daily life. I've learned the most important things from a mix of personal conversations with spiritual teachers and the deep insights of a woman named Natalie, who receives knowledge from higher realms. Her teachings stress a direct, unmediated connection with the divine, without the need for outside approval or membership in organized groups. This clarity and directness in spiritual communication have changed my life. It has helped me find answers to my most difficult questions and led me to a life of real love and simplicity. Putting spiritual ideas into simple visual terms can help make them clearer. This makes them easier to understand and more relevant than reading dense academic texts. This way of doing things, like putting together a puzzle or putting together furniture with clear instructions, takes the mystery out of spirituality and makes it more accessible. This way of thinking turns spiritual teachings that seem vague into real-world insights, like putting together two pieces that don't seem to go together and seeing a whole form. This IKEA method of spirituality can be hard at times, but it leads to more understanding and self-realization in the end. In a culture that is obsessed with approval from others and material success, the search for real happiness can get lost in the pursuit of money, fame, and other things. True happiness is hard to find, even with material things. It's not in what you achieve, but in the journey you take to find yourself and connect with your inner essence. Realizing that you can't buy or get happiness from outside sources, but that you have to work on it yourself, is the start of a journey that will change your life. Being aware of how temporary and inadequate material things are for long-term happiness is the key to overcoming the ego's constant need for external validation. Focusing on the present moment makes you feel confident and happy, showing you the value of simplicity and the power of being present. Any kind of meditation, no matter what method you use, is a basic step toward getting past the ego and embracing the richness of the inner world. Being aware of how temporary and inadequate material things are for long-term happiness is the key to overcoming the ego's constant need for external validation. Focusing on the present moment makes you feel confident and happy, showing you the value of simplicity and the power of being present. Any kind of meditation, no matter what method you use, is a basic step toward getting past the ego and embracing the richness of the inner world. Through my research, I've come across teachings that speak to me deeply and call for a direct, personal relationship with God. These teachings lead us back to our divine source. Sharing these ideas isn't meant to convince you of anything. It's just a reflection of my own path to understanding universal truths and living in harmony with them. This process of unlearning and rediscovering opens the door to real freedom by pushing us to think about and maybe change how we understand the values, beliefs, and spiritual ties that have shaped our identities. Taking a look at the complicated relationships between grief and attachment to departed souls shows how hard it is to remember loved ones while also letting them continue their journey beyond the physical realm. Understanding that life goes beyond our physical bodies forces us to change how we think about loss and continuity. Letting go of the memory of the dead while honoring their memory helps them move on in the spiritual world and lifts our hearts from our sadness. By reflecting on these things, we find a deep truth. We are, and always have been, enough. Our constant quest for acceptance and fulfillment from other people frequently hides the bright center of our being. We find the wholeness we've been looking for by turning inward and accepting the love and guidance that are available in the spiritual realm. This journey within to connect with God provides a safe haven of peace and understanding, freeing us from the illusions of not being good enough. The story of the prodigal son comes to mind as we go on this spiritual journey. It's a metaphor for our own journey of separation and return to the source of unconditional love. The main idea of this story is that we are always being invited to reconnect with God. This is a journey that goes beyond our earthly experiences and returns us to our spiritual home. This process of letting go and reconnecting shows us the unending support and guidance that surrounds us, pushing us to look to a higher power for comfort and direction. The soul's evolution continues beyond the physical world, which means that our spiritual journey doesn't end when we die, but continues in other worlds. This point of view gives us comforting reassurance that our search for growth and understanding continues after death, giving us endless chances to learn and grow. When we look into the mystery of the afterlife, we find a place that is just as different from our lives on Earth. There is a wide range of possibilities beyond our physical existence. For example, spirits may find themselves in places that remind us of earthly comforts, like bars, movie theaters, and gatherings, which are similar to how humans like to socialize and have fun. There are many souls in the spirit world, and some of them are still very connected to earthly things because of unfulfilled desires or unresolved attachments. There are as many of these earthbound spirits as there are living people. They live with us without being seen and subtly change our lives based on their wants and needs. Some of these spirits can't go to higher vibrational realms because they are stuck in lower vibrations or have strong ties to material things. These souls stay behind, trying to enjoy earthly pleasures through the living. This shows how much our spiritual state affects our journey after death. Beyond the bounds of Earth, the spirit world is made up of many layers, each vibrating at a different frequency. These layers go from the dense material plane to the divine love realms. Souls are drawn to realms where their vibrational state matches that of other spirits. This separation is often based on the person's strongest beliefs and convictions during their life on Earth, which determines where they will be spiritually after death. Souls continue to learn and grow after death, but at a slower pace because they are still experiencing the effects of what they did on Earth. This process emphasizes the soul's eternal journey to higher consciousness, where it grows and changes until it reunites with the source without losing its own essence. As we go through life, our souls and everything else in the universe are always changing and growing. This is called evolution. We are an important part of this beautiful process that is raising our consciousness and helping us understand our divine essence better.